Become a business revolutionary by sharing a fan bragging story of great customer service by using the hashtag FanBrag or calling the Fan Bragging hotline at 855-FAN-BRAG. FANBRAG. Now back to Angel and Eric, the Experience Pros.
Hey, welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us for ours. Angel is out in the Caribbean cruising and speaking and cruising. And that's got Cher Ashland hanging out with us today. Thank you so much.
Hello there. Thank you again.
It is our privilege to have you in the studio with us. And our next guest you're going to love. He's a certified life coach and a recovery coach. He's been in business for 7 years, focusing on small business owners and those in addiction recovery. Prior to that, he worked in the corporate world for 10 plus years and have owned 3 small businesses over his lifetime. He also is an Army vet and a Desert Storm vet, been married to the love of his life for the past 28 years, and he is on the phone with us now. We're talking to Tom Straley. Tom, welcome to the Experience Pros Radio Show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this all month.
Oh, as have we. Thank you so much for joining us. Tom, first and foremost, let me, on behalf of the Experience Pros, thank you publicly for your service to our country. It means so much to us.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You betcha. So, Tom, in the intro, it says that you are a life coach, a business coach, and a recovery coach. Those are things that we don't normally see in the same sentence. What got you motivated to do all 3 and put them in the same package?
Okay. Well, I've been doing all 3 I have on my website the last 7 years. But really it kind of all started when I was in the Army and trying to help young soldiers, soldiers who were just coming in, try to figure out who they were. And try to figure out, whether this was going to be a career path for them. Was it just a kind of stop along their way? And so, being, especially with the young people there, really trying to help them kind of got me started on being a coach without ever knowing that that was even a profession that you could aspire to. And so about 7 years ago, I decided I was going to take a break from the corporate life and really focus on being a life coach and specifically being a small business coach.
All right. Where does the addiction part come in? I mean, I get the first 2, but the addiction side of the addiction counseling side of things is unique, I think.
They're far more linked than you would like to believe. Unfortunately, addiction is affecting every family in America to some extent. And so a lot of times when I'm dealing with small business owners, what's weighing most heavy on their heart is a loved one who is caught up in addiction.
All right.
And the addiction part kind of came through my own life experiences. I've been sober for coming up on 8 years now.
Wow.
Congratulations on that. Hey, Thomas, this is Cher. Got a quick question for you.
Sure.
What's the biggest challenge you solve for your customers? Because you've got all kinds of people out there, whether they're in the military or not. What's that one core thing that you'll be able to accomplish for them?
The biggest hurdle, and it doesn't matter which track you want to put them in, whether it's life or business or addiction, taking the first step. Because it can be so daunting, because unfortunately so many of us are looking, 2 or 3 steps down the road.
And sometimes that head trash that we have just keeps going around and around, and we let that stop us before we get there. And then we're too afraid to keep on moving forward because we're like, well, what's that going to look like? It's the what if game.
Correct. Because I can see that step 3 or step 4 in this process is going to be very scary. I won't even take.
Yeah. So, Tom, let me reset here. We've got Tom Straley on the line, Aim Point Coaching. Tom, you mentioned your website. What is the website that you'd like us to send people to?
Oh, it's aimpointcoaching.com.
Aimpointcoaching.com. You have a rather unique version of how you meet and the frequency with which you meet your clients. Kind of describe some of that and how that works.
Sure. A lot of times, and especially with, getting over that hurdle of the first step, what I find is most helpful is to meet weekly. Let's go ahead and, plan on meeting every week until we feel good about the first step we've taken. We can see the traction that we're starting to get. As we're going through these steps, we can always then extend that to maybe once every other week, and then end with a once a month as we're getting near the end of that goal, and we can begin looking at maybe perhaps what's on the horizon next.
I love it. So Tom, who's your ideal target market? Is it the military, guys coming out of the military? Are you certified to handle PTSD as a, I was going to say as a side, but it's really not a side. It's a primary concern. How does that work?
Okay, but with the folks in the military, normally what I do is if I can sense from our time together that they can benefit from getting into a program that will help them specifically with their PTSD, then I know a number of counselors out there that I can refer them to. I try to stay in my lane.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little above my pay grade, other than to be a sympathetic ear to folks who are coming back.
Well, it is the addiction recovery element of this really is the your fingers on the pulse, if you will, about what's going on in the world today. And you talk about it having reached pandemic proportions.
Correct.
Are we making a difference? Can we show some positive movement in the direction, or have we not yet realized the scale of the issue?
See, I believe that we are making tremendous ground and at least getting the conversation out into the open. Because for so long, people who struggle with addiction have kept it as a secret.
There you go.
And just having the ability now to talk openly about challenges that you may be facing now or perhaps faced in your past gives freedom then for folks to be able to interact with each other and be able to build new programs. That's been another encouraging thing with the addiction community, or at least the treatment and recovery community, is the number of options now that are available other than your traditional, I've got to go to detox, and then I need to go to a treatment program for 30 days, and then I need to do a whole bunch of meetings as a follow-up to that.
So do you see this layering over top of one another on the different levels? You're not just really working with someone on one thing. It sort of has a crossover in various areas because you're helping business owners with their businesses, and sometimes it's their marriage, and sometimes it's their business that they're working hours and hours and hours on end, and they're the only ones that they can quote unquote rely on, and they have to break free from some of that as well.
And that's why I love working with the small business owners, is because their work and their life are linked intricately together.
So closely together.
Sure.
Exactly.
Tom, do us a favor. Give us some contact information. We've got your website, aimpointcoaching.com. That's aimpointcoaching.com. How about a phone number where people can call you and reach out to you?
Sure. That is 720-298-7655.
All right, do that one more time.
All right, 720-298-7655.
And go ahead.
Do you have anything special you'd like to offer those customers that call and want to try and set something up with you? Is there anything that you'd like to announce right now that would entice them to want to pick up that phone?
And so I would love to, if they will call between now and the 15th of November. So that gives you a good week or so to kind of think about this.
Sure does.
But between now and the 15th of November, I will do half off.
Wow.
Of my normally.
That's very generous of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that offer.
And that's only for the experienced pros. So.
Thank you so much.
So, folks, here's what you need to do.
Y'all being here.
You need to call Tom, and Tom, give that number one more time.
Okay, sure. It's 720-298-7655.
And mention the Experience Pros radio show that you heard him here.
Yes.
And get 50% off before the 15th of November. Tom, it's a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you, Tom.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, he's got a solid program, and I got the life coach and the business coach side by side. That makes sense to me. But adding in the addiction coaching and you know, he's right. We're all dealing with it at one point or another, and to say that it doesn't affect us would be just to deny the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's multifaceted for all of us.
So true. Gang, don't go anywhere. We got more positive business talk just on the other side of these messages. You are listening to Cher and Eric, and this is the Experience Pros Radio Network.
America's home for positive business talk. You're listening to the Experience Pros Radio Show. Contact